All right, everyone, let's get started. So today we have the Froge team here. Really excited to have them in our channel. So this is Sire. I'm your tavern keeper, the Brewlabs community manager, and yes, very excited to actually have the Froge team here. So how you guys going today?
Doing pretty good. Glad to be here representing Froge Finance and our token FrogeX.
Awesome. That's great. And I think like usually what I like to do is just start with, your team. Just for those that don't understand, I did share a bit of a summary about what Froge is and what they're doing. But it looks really good in regards to, like, for example, being involved with, replanting trees, cryptocurrency, to actually like better the world, which is something that for myself, I think is really important. And also their tokenomics and crypto itself is like super interesting, very different to everything else that's out there, especially with a focus on like gas efficiency, which again only betters the world in general. But I will let the Froge team touch on that. To start, would you guys be able to introduce yourselves, just who you are and how, what positions you actually have in the team?
Yeah, I'm Lazen the Ritual. My full name is actually Kevin. So I am the kind of project lead, financial backer, and I guess spiritual CEO. I don't really take that title seriously, but people have kind of put that on me. Um, Moonco is our lead dev and technology advisor. And then Jacob is one of our foundation representatives. So he works directly with our foundation president, Froge Moore, who unfortunately couldn't be here as it's very late for him in the Netherlands.
Oh no, completely fine. And like, yeah, no, that's great to know. So whereabouts are you guys based? Are you all in the Netherlands, or are you? I mean, I guess
No,
like
so
maybe an American accent there.
yeah, so the entire team is based in the US, Canada, and the Netherlands. Most of us are based in the US. I'm in California, Moonco's in North Carolina, Jacob is in Colorado. We have team members in British Columbia. We have some prospective team members in Australia, so we may be adding Australia to that list of countries. But Based Winner and Froge Moore are our kind of legal team, and Froge Moore leads the foundation. They're both based in the Netherlands in The Hague, as is our foundation, which is based out of The Hague and is registered with the Netherlands Chamber of Commerce.
Awesome. So I mean, like, it sounds to me like you've obviously got quite a corporate structure. Then, are you like, for example, are you an LLC? Is that how you've like incorporated, or at the moment?
So right now, everything is handled. All of the intellectual property for the project is handled by the foundation. So the actual
Mhm.
structure of that is it is a charitable foundation. They have charitable
Okay, got it.
status, and they hold all of the intellectual property, and they are essentially leasing that at no cost to the project. We are looking into kind of legal vehicles for the project itself, but that hasn't been decided upon yet.
Yeah. It's interesting because, like myself, I'm an accountant, and you know, looking at different type of like company structures, especially charitable organizations, it's really interesting how you can actually go and integrate modern finance, of modern things like cryptocurrency and things like that into that. So let's talk about Froge. Um, so just so you understand, feel free. To decide amongst yourselves who you'd like to answer the questions and things like that. But I really want to do a bit of a deep dive into it. So what is Froge? What do you guys do?
So, Froge Finance is the full project, and then specifically, our current token is Froge X. So we like to delineate it that way because Froge Finance is about more than just the token. The product started about a little over a year ago. It was launched by OX Dog, who was the same contract launcher as Hoge. the product was originally intended to be just a pretty standard pump and dump scheme, but like with Hoge, a community kind of came together around it and took over the project after OX Dog made his exit. And then that kind of bloomed into what became our V1 contracts environment, where we were trying to donate to Cool Earth, who their wallet address had been hard coded into the contract. Unfortunately, Cool Earth, they didn't want anything really to do with crypto at a certain point. They had come to an internal agreement, and even though we had a good relationship with their representatives, the order came down from within their structure, from way higher up the food chain, that they were going to get out of crypto. They didn't want anything to do with it, and so they, even though they had, I believe, it was like 14 or 15 billion tokens. I could be wrong about that number, but I think it was a significant portion of tokens. They never sold a single one, and they just sat on them, which meant that we weren't really fulfilling our charity angle. We were giving our tokens to somebody who wasn't using them. And it was around probably September of last year that we started looking at doing a V2 contract and doing a relaunch, so that we could actually live up to what we had all kind of come into it for. Because pretty much everyone on the team came into it with the idea that we would be, it's a crypto product, but the idea is that we would be using the proceeds from it to try and offset not just our own environmental footprint, but also the environmental footprint of cryptocurrency as a whole. And we're kind of aiming towards finding new technologies and new ways to use less computing power and thus less carbon footprint, less energy, just to be more efficient in general. And so Moonco had been kind of around the project. He was very sick about it, but we didn't really know that he was as high a level of developer as he is. He actually has done work with the Department of Defense and was a longtime developer working for Bank of America for I believe their back-end systems. And so he actually made the very bold decision to quit his job and come and do crypto full time. And so he kind of end of September, he started working on the new contract for us. And of course, you start on this and you think, oh yeah, it's just a new contract. How long could that take? And so we were expecting to launch in November, and that didn't happen.
Well, let me just say, so this is an exact comment like from your website, but having audited your contract, like it goes, FrogeX's liquidity auto posts itself, auto locks on the contract itself, and achieves perpetual lock through any time incrementing of its unlock date. I will get you guys to touch on that, or maybe even Moonco could maybe touch on that soon. But I mean, that's not a simple contract. Like you're definitely doing something different.
Well, the bulk of the time for the act development was developing the system for doing ETH rewards without it costing an enormous amount of gas for every transaction. So if you look at other ETH rewards contracts, especially on ERC20, you will see like all of the Fair Token project contracts. What is it? It's not Shiba. It's Shinja is another reflections contract. Their gas usage is probably high because of the way that they have everything structured. And part of that is that when there is a call against the contract, every single time you make a transaction, it takes the tokens from that, converts them into Ethereum, and then distributes them to everybody.
Yeah.
Which is wholly inefficient. So what our contract does instead is it actually converts everything, and it holds the tokens in escrow basically until a wallet makes a transaction. So if you make a buy, a sell, a transfer, or you make a claim using our DApp on our website, then the contract will pay out the ETH reflections that you're owed, so long as they're above. We set a threshold on that specifically so that you wouldn't be dealing with, oh, here, let me go and claim my contract. Let me go and claim my tokens. Oh, look, it all got eaten by gas. We didn't want that to happen. So there is a lower threshold to make sure that you do, in fact, get some reflections back every time that you do receive reflections.
Can I ask, like, if you the gas fee for your, contract token and, activating the reflections that you do have versus a like another one, like one of the more commonly, built Ethereum token contracts, how would you compare the difference in gas price? Like how much lower is yours?
It's night and day. So we did gas comparisons, and our transfers, buys, and sells are all kind of just slightly higher than stable tokens like DAI and USDT, which puts it lower than even tokens like Shinja, Shinja was the highest that we saw. They had gas prices which easily went into the hundreds of dollars, even at 30 or 40 Gwei. At 30 or 40 Gwei, you would be expecting to pay about $20 for a buy or a sell on our contract, which for Ethereum is pretty good.
That's nothing. I mean, like, I actually think, like, and this is common knowledge, though, I think, to everyone that's listening, but one of the biggest problems with like Ethereum based contracts is the gas. Like, so the fact that you just come at this and you basically built, something that, completely mitigates that biggest issue is quite huge for the Ethereum space. So to ask, was this a Moonco creation? Like, did he make this just from himself? Like, how did you come about, coming up with this?
So he did have basis. He had been working with Fair Token projects before he was kind of at the same time as he was starting out looking at our contract.
Let me take that answer.
Yeah, go for it.
This is Moonco. Hey, everybody. Actually, in July, we had decided that we needed a new token, as Lazen mentioned, with the whole Cool Earth wouldn't, they decided against crypto, and we figured out we need a new token. One way or another, have to have it. And then I made the offer, and we started looking into it. And before August, I would say, I had figured, I was looking at the ETH reflection tokens. I was faintly aware of FTP at the time, but I was looking at these ETH reflection tokens because there was a big interest at the time among our team that we moved to that for the reduced sell pressure. So one of the things that I noticed right off the bat was it looks like there was a big opportunity for optimization, for doing it better, right? But it would be a big refactor. So we would have to take multiple contracts and streamline the code, or basically bring the code from external contracts and move it into the base contract. That way you're doing less cross-contract calling. And so that was the general idea with FrogeX was, hey, we can save some gas, at least we'll be a little bit, and that may be a marketable, point of a selling point,
I think that's a huge selling point. I mean, like that's, I actually think that part of the reason why a lot of Ethereum projects fail is because they don't do that, so, sorry, continue.
Oh yeah. So, I would say the big point to highlight is that, just so I can kind of wrap up the answer with something short and punchy. The big point is that, we discovered along the way, or I discovered along the way, that actually there was a ton of opportunity for optimization. the way that Etherflexion tokens used to work, or still do work, I mean, people still launch these Etherflexion tokens, and they have, what's essentially going on is it's not just one token. It is actually the Etherflexions are being tracked by a completely separate token. So when you interact with Shin and so on, most often they have this two-token system where the general public or end user is not even aware that there's a whole separate token behind, like under the hood, that's tracking the reflections.
A dividend tracker,
So,
yeah.
so what I did was I did the refactoring work to merge the two tokens so that it's all tracked just by one token and by a separate total supply figure. If you know, essentially, I figured out all you need to do to track the rewards is have a separate total supply. So we still have that like removed value that you don't really see from the surface, but instead of being a total different token, it's just a different total supply. Yep. It's the reward total supply. Yeah, and that once we got that taken out and looked at the gas savings and the results, it was tremendous. It was like the rewards feature wasn't even there. It's like I'm wearing nothing. It's like I'm wearing nothing at all.
It's like the king. What is that story? The king's suit or something, where he walks around just naked and look at my new clothes.
It's like I'm wearing nothing at all. I think that was a Family Guy or some kind of quote like.
But and like I'll just say as well that like just for the community that are listening, because I did say it once, but we did audit the contract. And just from our side, like, you know, in terms, if anyone was wondering about the contract itself, you know, we found no critical security issues, no logic issues, nothing major. I mean, the only things, I'll just raise this, but this is very standard. And again, it's the same as the Brewlabs token, everyone. It was just like the centralization risk, where obviously, you know, like the owner of the contract can change a couple functions such as transaction fees. But in regards to like the current industry, you know, a lot of that stuff is mitigated through, I think, your like you've got a docs team and various other things that actually mitigate those risks, just like we do with our own with our own contracts. Sorry. So I guess in summary, what I'd like to say is that the Froge contract had a very good result. So if anyone's listening, you know, they do have a very good contract. And I mean, just hearing from what Moonco said, can you imagine that? I think all of us have experienced Ethereum fees and just seen like how high it can be. So much so that like, you know, most people a lot of people who are involved with BSC aren't necessarily involved with Ethereum because of the money requirements. So the fact that you guys have been able to do this is very cool. Now, I did want to kind of move on a little bit more to, there's definitely going to be some questions over your contract as well going forward, but I would like to know a little bit more about the business itself. So this is a very dynamic market. There's a lot of entities within the space that are competing. So I guess what I'd like to know is, Froge, what is your end goal and how are you trying to accomplish that through the token and, you know, through everything else?
So our end goal is essentially to create a type of cryptocurrency that normal people will be able to get on board with, very comfortable using. Because if you look in the news, you look in, you know, kind of the, you know, we all exist in this kind of crypto space where we go, oh yeah, it's crypto, we understand how this works. But the average person, all they really see is people talking about like, oh, Bitcoin is so bad for the environment. NFTs are so bad for the environment. You know, oh, this is terrible. It has such a huge carbon footprint. And while that is somewhat overblown in terms of the media hype around it, there is some truth to it, which is that, you know, cryptocurrency does have a significant impact on the environment. Not just from the carbon footprint of the energy generation, but also from the rare earth minerals that are used to create graphics cards that are used for mining, and something that a lot of people don't even think about is the heat generation. I mean, you look at these crypto mining facilities and they generate an enormous amount of heat, which can theoretically change the local environment. So there's a lot of aspects just looking at carbon. We're looking primarily at carbon, pollution, and energy generation to have a better idea of where the charitable ends of the Froge project will be best used. And then the main goal at the end is to have kind of a mass adoption. To that end, we are working on securing a direct fiat onboarding program, so people would be able to go to our website and we would make it simple enough that grandma can go and buy little Jimmy some Froge X for Christmas and feel good about it because it's an investment for his future. It's an investment for the planet's future. And it won't just be, crypto enthusiasts or hippie granola types. It'll be everybody who is very, a lot of people are very interested in the environment, and that even if they don't really think about it that often, people are much more likely to take the choice. If you're offered a choice, it's like, well, you can take this, which is, it works, or you can take this, but it also works, but it also helps the environment and helps the planet. You're usually going to take the greener option, even if you don't really think about it. It's a psychology of it.
Could I poke in just one bit about that too?
Of course. Yeah,
go ahead,
Jacob.
And so I'm a volunteer and a liaison and prospective board member of the Froge Finance Foundation. And essentially, all that I wanted to say is if you could imagine as well with the fiat onboarding, a future where you could, buy your dinner, maybe pay your rent with this kind of currency and benefit with the dividends and all of that, as opposed to holding in your fiat bank account. You don't get much interest in your fiat bank account compared to our Ethereum dividends that get paid out. But if you could imagine a world where people are actually using this as a currency widespread via mass adoption, ecological impact that it would have from just a small 1% of transaction taxes on that kind of volume, while giving benefits to the people who use this currency, it would be massive.
Yeah, I think it's also very relevant to the current time that we live in. I think, like the fact that if you could actually go and take a cutting edge technology product such as a crypto token, and actually then at the same time better the world that we live in and make it easy, for example, such that, like you said, what was it? The grandmother can buy little Timmy's tokens. I think
exactly.
I think that's huge. I mean, look, my grandmother's 95, and I'm sure that she would love to buy me some Froge. So, I'll talk to her. But but no, honestly, what you've just said, Jacob and Lazan, some very good points.
Because a small bit goes to the foundation.
Sorry.
Go ahead. No, you go ahead, Moon.
That would segue perfectly to address a concern, like you mentioned. 1%, if just 1% of all the volume, with going in and through cryptos, could go to save the environment. It's a complete offset. It would change everything, and there's no more narrative that it's harmful. It's actually taking real world action out there and offsetting it in verifiable, provable ways. That's the whole idea. But anyways, the 1% figure, is exactly the reason why our contract is managed. And we're not going to renounce ownership or anything like that, because if the token were to, I mean, the investor fear is that, oh, well, they can just spike up the taxes anytime they want. We're not going to do that. The whole idea of having the taxes be managed and changeable is that we could, run events, or, you can do things to spike activity or interest people, or, it would all be community voted on. But mainly in the future, if Froge, if all would go according to plan and Froge would kind of blow up, right? Then the project and the offsetting feature doesn't need so many, if the volume is in the millions per day, you don't need 5 or 8% on taxes. You don't need, so you set those down to less, because the project, we're not trying to go overboard with what we can do. We're just trying to operate and have it be a successful model, right? Froge is a model. We just want it to gain some legs and, and be moving. And if it were to move, then we would reduce the taxes. That's part of the whole strategy there.
This is what's exciting too. When we talk about events and things, like we could have an event where we lower the marketing tax and increase the Eco-DeFi tax that goes to the Froge Finance Foundation. And then instead of 1% of all the volume, maybe it's 2% on that day. And then you're getting twice as much money that goes to our partners that are right now Rainforest Foundation US and One Tree Planted, that is a very cool organization. And I love One Tree Planted for their model, where each dollar that you give them plants a tree, and then they monitor it with GIS and satellite imagery. And so every buck that we give them from that 1% tax is planting a tree in an area to reverse deforestation. And so the impact, like we're talking about, could be amazing, especially if it were to blow up, like what Moonco's saying. If this could really take off, where there's millions of dollars of volume per day, which is not unreasonable in our space, there would be a huge impact as far as the Eco-DeFi element and what we can do at the Froge Finance Foundation with those funds.
Yeah, that sounds really great. I mean, I would like to ask another question. So, okay, you talk about volume, and obviously there's a lot of projects in the space that have millions of dollars in volume. So what is the current strategy for Froge to obviously start to ensure that you keep that volume going, that you keep people buying? I mean, what is the current plan? Do you have products coming out? Do you have tools?
Yeah, so there's a couple of projects that we have upcoming. The foremost of which is, I'm sure you're familiar, you use it in yours, is I don't know if you have Bubble or Bobby, but there's several buy bots around on the market currently. And Moonco has actually developed a new form of bot display. So basically it would come up and it would look a little different in the chat. And we have developed in-house API for accessing blockchain data, which would allow our bot to run extremely scalably. Currently, Bobby and Bubble Buybot both run off of the CoinMarketCap and Uniswap APIs, which they have to pay based on the amount of volume that they use in order to use those API setups. What Moonco has developed is actually our own API, which will allow us to scale our bot basically as far as we want. We don't have to put any kind of limits on the data outputs from it. So you would have a bot that would allow, we have some kind of secret plans for having it be much more than just a buy bot, though. Currently, you have a lot of disparate, pieces and parts bots that, we've got a bot that does, these kind of links and giveaways. And we've got a bot that does, buys, bot that does this, and we've got a bot that does that. And we're trying to bring all of those into a single bot, which would be what we're looking at having is kind of a 3-tiered subscription service to it. So there would be a tier 0, which would be completely free to use, but it would be ad supported. There'd be a tier 2, which would have very unobtrusive ads and have a few more features to it. And then be tier 3, which would be ad free and would have the full range of features, including full customization options. Moonco's been working on a customization suite that will go up on our website to allow people to fully customize what buys look like when they come in, how they come in, what data is displayed, and things like that. We have some things in the works that will bring some very fun community building features into it. And the proceeds from that are going to help us kind of bring in not only awareness to Froge project. Of course, if people are seeing, the Froge bot, or probably won't be called that, but as the developers of it, you're definitely going to see our name in the ad space until we get sufficient ads to replace that. That'll bring awareness to our project from that angle. I don't know how much you guys are all aware of this, but Twitter and Telegram, not so much, but Twitter has basically shadow banned everybody that's involved in crypto. They're sequestering all cryptocurrency people off into their own little bubble of just us cryptocurrency people.
Only for now, until we all band together and then take over the whole of Twitter.
Well, I think that Elon taking over will be good for that, because he's very pro Doge. Hopefully he doesn't just manipulate it towards Doge alone, and he manipulates it to open it up to be like, hey, crypto is this thing that exists. Most normal people don't really think about cryptocurrency, and that's one of the things that FrogeX is really aiming to change. Is we want to change not just the perception of cryptocurrency as being a thing for the environment, but also to kind of turn that around and show people, no, it's cryptocurrency is like any other tool. It's really how you use it. If you're using it with the intent of bettering the environment, you can very well use it for that purpose. It's just nobody's really been putting a lot of thought towards that. There are other Eco-DeFi projects out there. Froge Finance was the first. And we continue to innovate along those lines. We are kind of looking at other Eco-DeFi projects to try and bring them, into a partnership situation, but I can't really go into more details on that. There are kind of a couple of angles that we're looking at to just bring new people into the project, bring new people into the community, and bring in new buyers. Something that we're definitely looking at is a second token on another chain, which would support the current Ethereum side as well. So everything is kind of funnels back to FrogeX, because FrogeX is our flagship token. We're also working on an NFT project, which hopefully we will be able to unveil some more information about in the next week or two. But right now we're kind of playing it close to the chest, because it'll be a little different than your usual NFT project.
Awesome. I feel like in terms of NFTs, there's just so much potential within the space for what you can do. So definitely excited to kind of like hear what that is.
There really is. Moonco has been kind of looking at NFTs as well as the bots, and he's realized that.
I've been clamoring. I used to hear people say there's so much potential with NFTs, and like, oh yeah, and I look at it a little bit, hear about it a little bit, and I'm like, oh yeah, it's fine. But the more I the more I looked into it and researched how, what's going on with with them as a contract. As a contract, you've got functional NFTs. It's amazing, and we're totally shooting for the moon on this. To use a redundant term with my handle there, but we are aiming really high. We're gonna go, and we're gonna probably. I don't want to make any claims or whatever that don't turn out to be true, but probably gonna go for one of these low cost, high TPS transaction per second platforms, so that we can. That is, I think, where games can come in and have engaging, not quite real time, because you don't get the throughput that you would with a traditional database or just in client code. But some of these blockchains actually are very, very fast, and so to do. It just changes how you're gonna craft the experience for playing the game. But having something that is completely on chain means that a game becomes very, very suitable for anything to do with real world value. Think of like Diablo 3 and its auction house and people selling weapons and armors for $70,000 or whatever.
Yeah.
With blockchain, it's far more real, and with NFTs, it's like real items. It's like a real digital item that it's like existing as a thing. I don't know. It's as an unhackable, unchangeable. I mean, it can change itself, right? It can have the power to change itself, but it's like a physical item, except it can't be damaged. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah. Look, from my end, even if you take a step back, I mean, just think about the last like 20 years, just in regards to the evolution of technology, right? Like, I'm in my late 30s, so when I was a kid, I didn't grow up with like a phone or like a mobile phone where you could just access everything, like at like you know on your fingertips. Like basically, the world has changed. Like it's become very digital. It's become very online. And I think that the idea of assets, where people used to, go and, for example, like gaming cards, like people used to go and collect, like, whatever, like Naruto cards. I know they still have them, and Pokemon cards and all this stuff. But now it's more like, well, if everyone's got a mobile phone or everyone's got access to like a computer or whatnot, what's really the difference? Like, what if you can trade or do all this kind of stuff with NFTs, or if you can go and like create NFTs that have actual utilization, such as supercharging various elements of like your crypto ecosystem, or whatnot. Yeah, I agree with you, Muko. Just the world's ready for it, I think. And I think that's also why NFTs have become so popular over the last.
Could I just poke in again?
Yeah, sure thing, Jacob.
Cool. I was going to say, just as a fun kind of, thought experiment as well, that kind of tails off of what Moonco and what you were saying, Sire. If you could imagine a really fun NFT project for Froge, and maybe even games and this entire ecosystem, and how that also plays into the Eco-DeFi modus operandi, and that also has its own positive impact. And I just love that as part of the foundation. I love how everything in the ecosystem can tie back to protecting our forests and planting trees, and there's a lot of potential in that space too, like you were talking about.
Yeah, so the idea being that rather than the project becoming about gaming or anything like that, the NFT project is to bring more awareness to the flagship token, and also to kind of augment our charity angle. Because I mean, if you think about it, an in-game currency that is NFT based, or an in-game set of items that is NFT based, and every transaction of those generates a fee, and that fee goes into both marketing funds and charity funds. then those charity funds are basically offsetting the footprint of the online aspect of that game as well. I mean, to be quite fair, people really enjoy things that are engaging and fun, and games are hopefully both of those things. So to have that to kind of bring awareness in, the idea being that rather than creating, you see a lot of these gaming projects that are very focused on, we're just gonna have we're just gonna have this game and you play it and you earn our token. Okay, cool. But what about somebody that has no idea what cryptocurrency is? What do they do? Like, they're not going to get involved with the game. They're not going to care. And if you don't build a game that's fun to play, they're definitely not going to try to care. So the idea want to create something that is engaging enough to draw in hopefully the streamer audience, because the idea being that it would be, yes, it would be blockchain driven. Yes, it would be NFTs, but it would be distant enough from that in terms of the end user experience. You wouldn't really realize that all of these items you've been collecting and these packs of items that you've been buying are actually NFTs, unless you go to sell them and then you go, oh, wait, this is actually like an internal central exchange. And most people might never even realize that they are trading NFTs unless they go and they read the documentation. Like, that's how kind of subtle we want to be about it, so that people who are really interested in crypto, they'll go, oh yeah, I get this. But people who aren't will still be able to partake in it and enjoy it without having to think about it in terms of, oh man, I got to go buy Ethereum to play this game, or I got to go buy Polygon, or I got to go buy Phantom or whatever. Like, how do I do that? Oh, that's too much work. No, it's literally, we already will have fiat onboarding at that time. It will be as easy as buy our in-game currency, which will probably be FrogeX or some other token like it, as an interface, and use that to purchase NFTs in the form of items and in-game cosmetics and things like that. But all of it will be filtering back to our original purpose, which is to be Eco-DeFi. Percentages of all of that will be going back into charity, and we will have massive drives where we'll put even higher percentages into charity. I mean, there are definitely angles that we could take on that would really drive that. And then being able to having a game that is accessible enough that we can have your mainstream kind of Twitch and YouTube personalities play this game and do pulls of item packs and things like that, which is very popular in gacha games right now. Have that happening will bring an enormous amount of interest and awareness, both to our brand and to cryptocurrency in general. One of the main things that Froge is very focused on is bringing mainstream awareness of cryptocurrency, because we can go around and around as cryptocurrency enthusiasts. We can go around and just basically trade money forever. But bringing awareness to cryptocurrency as a whole and getting the average consumer to understand cryptocurrency isn't just, these crazy tokens about who knows what on the internet, and I don't understand what that means. Or worse, there's a lot of people who liken it to like the tulip craze in the Netherlands back in, I think it was the 1800s, where people were buying and selling tulips on this crazy speculative market. which there are parallels, but the way you fix that is by having internal self-regulation, having professionalism, and having mass adoption. So we are very focused on transparency and being very open with our community about what's going on, what our plans are. You will see myself, Moonco, Lefroge, who's one of our marketing people. You will see Casper, who is our fine. You will see Based Winner. You'll see basically everybody who is in core is in our main community chat, and we try and keep it that way. Even when we're super busy with working on FrogeX and working on other Froge Finance projects, we want the community to see us. We want to be hands-on with the community so that we're always there for them. The other thing is...
Oh, no, sorry. I was going to say, I think that's really important to take your community on the journey with you, for sure.
Yes, and so and we try and hold ourselves to a fairly high level of professionalism. We do keep it light and fun. I mean, it's cryptocurrency. We're not trying to be a stuffy bank, but at the same time, we try and keep things on a professional level so that people can respect that we say what we're going to do. If we are unable to meet the deadlines that we've previously set, we're going to be very open and honest about why that is and what has happened. But we very much try and set deadlines, stick to them, help our community out. Many of our community members have kind of stuck around and gotten even more involved because we're so willing to help people out and make sure that everybody kind of understands what's going on, and to be very open and upfront about everything. In fact, that's where Jacob came from in the project, is that kind of near the end of the V1, he ended up getting scammed and by someone who was impersonating one of our admins. And I ended up working with him, and we were able to get back his Froge tokens. It was just very lucky timing in that regard, but still, it was a very good example of why we have in the new contract, we actually have a blacklist function. Some people may look at that and say, oh, that's sketchy. And it's like, no, that if you look at it, you can see exactly which wallets are blacklisted. It's a very small handful of them, and they're all known scammers. They're people who, we encourage our community to, if they're contacted by someone who is posing as myself or one of the other admins, we have them try and get that person's wallet address so that we can then add that to the blacklist so that that person can no longer trade FrogeX. What it means is, if someone's wallet address is blacklisted by our contracts, let's say we know there's a scammer and we've blacklisted him, what will happen is he'll be blacklisted, and when he goes to try and steal the FrogeX out of someone's wallet, he'll be unable to, because he won't be allowed to interact with the FrogeX contract, which a transfer interacts with the contract. So when a wallet is blacklisted, no FrogeX can enter or leave that wallet until it is unblacklisted, which it can be removed from the blacklist. If there's some mistake or there's some issue like that, they can always be removed from the blacklist. But that has been used so far to pretty good effect to kind of tamp down on scammers in our community. We do get people, it's surprising, it's like they don't even realize that we know they're scammers, because I've gotten messages from scammers trying to be Moonco or trying to be Dr. Gonzo or trying to be one of our other admins, being like, "Hey man, can you send, I need you to send me the marketing funds." I'm like, why didn't you contact me in the official channels?
Yeah.
Why is this chat empty?
There's so many like there's so many scammers in the space. I mean, like, the amount of like fake sires there are is ridiculous. I think every single one of my mod team gets almost messaged every single day from a fake me asking if they're available, and that I need to borrow some money, you know? So it's I don't think that there's any issues with having a blacklist function within your contract, specifically, to be honest. I think that's it's just what part and parcel of some of the things that you need to do, if anything, to protect your community. So really, that's all you're really
Exactly,
using it for,
yes.
just to protect everyone. Look, I just want to put it to our community, the listeners. So if you guys do have any questions from what you've heard or anything like that, feel free to just send it in the main channel. You know, I do like to give everyone like the opportunity, if they have anything that they'd like to ask. There's been a lot of information that's been shared from the FrogeX team. So if there are any questions, feel free to just ask now in the main channel, just over the next couple minutes. Again, if there's no questions as well, that's fine too. But as we're, I guess, you know, coming to the end, I guess what I'd like to ask your whole team, you know, is there anything, you know, specifically that you'd like to share in regards to your project? Is there anything, I guess, imminent that's coming out that everyone should be aware of?
I guess the most imminent thing is the new bot initiatives and NFT initiatives that we're working on. And I wanted to kind of just kind of give Moonco a shout out. He's been working really hard for us. He is full-time with the project right now. He is a full-time paid developer. So we're very happy to have him be on board 100% with us.
Awesome. Moonco, how do you feel about being full-time?
Well, Froge is the opportunity there is like nothing else in the world, in world history, you might say. I'm absolutely in love with project's mission and what we can do. We just need, you know, we just need some legs on the ground. We need some rubber on the road, and you know, it's been sacrifices just to work hard on FrogeX, but you know, I continue to do what I need to do to stick with the project. And I mean, I'll wreck myself, you know, I'll bend myself over backwards to stay with Froge. And it's true, you know, it's become very near and dear to me. And I want to see it succeed because the model is what interests me. And the people, the community, the whole thing, you know, there's been nothing like this so far in my life, you know, and I'm not going to find it out there, you know, so that explains it, you know. It's the whole thing interests me. I really like our team. We've got a lot of really good thinkers, and we have a great processes, and a lot of great ideas. And we've got, you know, now we're on agile tracking software, and we're recording all of our ideas. And so we on our homepage, on our front page on our site, but also we are logging and recording all of our ideas. And so the roadmap that's visible there, publicly visible, is only a fraction of actually everything that we're thinking of.
You know, I was going to say that we've all made a lot of sacrifices, but thanks in a large part to large sacrifices and incredibly hard work by Moonco to make this incredible contract that I think is, like he said, part of world history, an innovative technology that has never existed before, and nothing else exists like this. And thanks to his work, the Froge Finance Foundation has been able to fund the planting of about 2,400 trees so far, as well as sending at least 0.3 ETH to help protect existing rainforests in the Amazon. So we're off to a good start already. It's working, and thanks to Moonco, we've got an excellent new website where you can check all of that out, and lots more to come. I'm so excited, very honored to be part of the team.
That's awesome. That's awesome. It's, you know what, like I feel like probably one of the similarities between Brewlabs and Froge is that like when you have a like a dev team and a strong community management team as well, you're already future proofing yourself. Like it's cool to be able to release the latest and the best, because the industry is changing every single day. Like, I mean, what's new today is old tomorrow. So when you have the team that can stay on top and just keep on innovating and keep on like releasing these products that are going to change the space and the world, I think that's what's key. So yeah,
I
thanks a lot,
definitely agree.
guys. Yeah, no.
Oh,
definitely.
one last thing. Dr. Gonzo's
Yeah.
post in the Brewlabs community channel just reminded me we are sponsoring Montel Williams, who is an MMA fighter. I don't know when exactly his next fight is going to be, but we have agreed to sponsor him probably indefinitely. He and his manager are both holders.
Who's Montel Williams again? That name sounds a little familiar.
He is the MMA fighter, son of the TV personality Montel Williams.
That's awesome. That's pretty big. That's some pretty good exposure. And is that an actual is it an actual screenshot of?
Yes, that was from his last fight. That was from, I believe, Steel Fist 23 or 24.
Very cool. Very cool. Oh, that's awesome. I mean, like all exposure is good exposure, right? So that's fantastic to actually like have a celebrity endorsement as well. That always helps. So no, awesome. So I guess any other parting words, or is is there anything else that you guys would like to mention at the moment, or is that pretty much everything for the now?
If anybody has any questions that they didn't get to ask as part of the AMA, then please stop by our official community chat. We're always happy to answer questions. We're always happy to interact with new people who are interested in the project. Like awesome. Never feel like you're asking a dumb question that somebody's asked before. Like we're happy to answer whatever questions anybody has.
And innovate with us. The invitation to innovate with us, and to work with us. That's like the core. Yeah. One of the core philosophies in Froge is like it's there's no walls, right? It's just open. And that's part of what Lazin's saying about the core or the team always being there in the community interface. That's what it's about. That's the purpose, is that there's no walls. It's not like the core over here and the community over there. It's more of a fluid kind of a system where we can all work together.
Yeah, I guess finally, for that. I would say finally, check us out on CoinMerge. We have a really good budding partnership with the CoinMerge team over there. We've won their voting for 2 weeks in a row. We're aiming for week 3. We're going to put Johnny Deppinu in their place. And CMerge is they're really cool guys. They're also innovating in the space, and we're really happy to be working with them.
Awesome. No, thanks guys, and like really appreciate having you on. So just to our community, as you all know, we do actually go and put all of these recordings on YouTube. So you will be able to go back and listen to the recording on YouTube, likely in a few hours. That'll be up. We'll also be sharing this across all of our socials as well. So what I always say to my community is, look, just make sure you always do your own research. After talking with Froge, you definitely sound they're doing things the right way. They have a contract that nobody else has. We were the auditors for that, and yeah, like no significant issues at all. So it's a very sound contract, as you know, covered by the Froge team. See, quite cutting edge in regards to the way that has. So look, check them out. That's what we're here for. Check out the Froge team, and we'll go from there. So I'll just thank the Froge team for joining us. Appreciate having you guys on, and we'll talk to you guys later.
Great. It's been great.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, guys. See you later.
All right. We'll talk to you later.